Hello everyone. In this video we'll be discussing about increment operator and decrement operator. It's quite interesting. Let us discuss about increment and decrement operator first of all. So let me write down here increment operator. Okay. So this is very first. Here's spelling increment operator. Okay. Here it is denoted by the symbol plus plus. Okay. And obviously decrement operator, it is denoted by the symbol minus minus. Okay, so what will happen actually, increment and decrement operator, how it works? So whenever increment operator is applied, whenever plus plus is applied, the value of a variable, the value of a, for example, the value is 9, a value is 9. If you apply increment operator, okay, so something like a plus plus, okay, then what will happen to this a? So a becomes 10. So the value gets incremented by 1. 9 becomes 10. Again, you have applied a plus plus. Okay. Then again the value becomes 11. So at each time the value gets incremented by 1. It is something like a increment operator. If you write a plus plus, then it is something like a equals to a plus 1, which increments the value by 1, right? So in the similar way, coming to the decrement operator also, here whenever you apply the decrement operator, assume that a value is 9 again, 9. Okay, it, you have written a minus minus. Okay, so now the value becomes what? 8. The value becomes what? 8. So now again one more time you have applied a minus minus, then what will happen? The value becomes 7. So here the value gets decremented by 1. It is something like a equals to a minus 1. A equals to a minus 1. So there are, again, the increment and decrement operators are divided into two types. Okay, two types, increment or decrement, both two types. Okay, so we have pre-increment operator. Second one is post increment operator. Pre-increment operator, post increment operator. So if you write like this, plus plus a means increment operator you have written before variable operand, then pre-increment. For example, if you have written like this, a plus plus, you have written the operator after operand, then we call it as post increment. This is pre-increment and this is post-increment. So now in the similar way we have decrement operators also. So what are those? Pre-decrement operator, which is like this, minus minus a, and the second one is post decrement operator. It is a minus minus. So this is again same. Okay, now what we have so far, what we have discussed, increment operator symbol, how if you are using incremented operator, how the value gets incremented by 1 we have seen, and along with the decrement operator symbol we have seen how the value gets decremented by 1. That's what we have seen. So again types we have seen, pre-increment and post-increment. Operator before operand, it is pre-increment. Operator after operand, I mean plus plus, you have written after a, post increment. So in the similar way you have seen pre-decrement and post-decrement. But the question is, what will happen here? If you write a minus minus a also, the value gets decremented by 1. A minus minus also, the value gets decremented by 1. If you write like this also, the value gets incremented by 1. Even though if you write like this, then also the value gets incremented by 1. Then where the difference happens here? Let us see in the code. So generally let us take a value as 9. Okay, I have written a plus plus, printf percentage d comma a. Okay, so a value I have given as 9, incremented, post increment I have used increment operator which increments the value by 1, right? So here the a value, after this step the a value should be 10, right? Let us see what is the output we are getting. We are getting output 10, and here I am using pre-increment also, plus plus a, then also the value gets incremented by 1 only, and see here both ways the value got 10. Okay, value gets incremented by 1. And see for the decrement operators also, a minus minus, the original value is 9, you have decremented, you have operator, decrement operator you have used, the value should be decremented by 1, that's why the output should be 8. So you got the output as 8. Now let me use pre-decrement operator, then also the value gets decremented by 1 only, and see here what is the output you are getting here, 8 only. Then where the difference lies, where the difference lies, where what is the difference here, if you apply the pre-increment and post-increment, what is the difference where pre-decrement is applied and post-decrement is applied? I will show you. Let us take one more variable. Let us take one more variable. Okay, now I have written c equals to minus minus a, or let me write down very first, a plus plus. C equals to a plus plus I have written. Now instead of a I am printing C. Observe carefully here. Instead of a, what I am printing here, C. Now let us see what is the output we are getting. 9. What is the original value we have given here? 9. Even though you have applied increment operator, but still the value is 9. Observe here, post increment you have applied, C value you are trying to print, means what is the value you are going to store in C? 9 only in post increment. Okay, do remember. Now you have written plus plus here. Again I am printing C value. Now see what is the output you got it? 10. In the earlier case I got, or we got the value 9. Now we got the value 10. What happens here is, here in pre increment, a value gets incremented first, then gets stored in C, where it gets stored in C. That's why the incremented value, what is that? 10. That will be stored in C. That's why if you are printing C, you will be getting 10. But in case of post increment like this, the original value, what is the original value? 9. That is getting stored first. 9 value is getting stored first in C, then A value gets incremented to 10. But here the thing is, you are printing C na, that's why we are not getting the incremented value here. The before increment, whatever the value is there, C, A value is there, 9, that is getting stored in C. That's why in case of post increment, we are getting what? 9. But in case of pre increment, we are getting the value as 10. Why? Because we are getting value stored is getting only after incremented. So pre-post difference, only when you are using along with assignment operator, then only this variation can be seen with pre-increment and post-increment. Now the question comes, what is the A value in pre-increment and post-increment? If you use like this, A value, I told you, like it is increment, whether it is pre-increment or post-increment, the value of A will be incremented only. But while storing into some other variable, then only pre-increment and post-increment will be differentiated, right? If suppose let's assume that A value is stored, printed here. I am not printing C here, observe carefully. I am printing A. In this case, A value is 10 only. And in post increment also, if you say A value, then also you will get 10 only. Both cases 10 only. But if you are talking about C, not A, then in case of post increment, the various previous before increment, whatever the value is there, that is getting stored. 9 will be printed here. 9, see here. 9 will, why 9 printed? The 9 value getting stored, after that A value is becoming 10. Whereas in case of pre-increment, the value is A value is becoming 10, then that value is getting stored. That is the behavior changing of pre and post increment. Similarly with the pre decrement and post decrement also. I am using minus minus a pre decrement means before only you decrement. 9 becomes 8. After becoming 8 you are storing in C. That's why C value will be 8. You got 8. Now you are writing A minus minus post decrement means what is the original value first? 9. That original value getting stored in C, 9 will be stored in C. After that A is becoming 8. That's why the C value will be the same 9 value, not 8. Look at. This is how the pre and post increment and decrement operator works. Guys, please go through the video once or twice. You will understand very easily. Okay, thank you guys.